Hey guys, Paulguy here. This is an unusual video on the channel. First time. I have no idea what I'm doing. This is totally not the sixth time I tried to do this. Please send help. So I've been playing video games for probably the majority of my life. I started playing stuff when I was very young, and I'm pretty sure you guys are probably thinking, oh, what is it, like Mario for the NES? Not even like Super Mario, but like Mario Brothers, where you're in the freaking pipes jumping around. No. It's actually older than that. It's Tetris for the computer. And I mean like black background, orange text box computer. Old. I'm a fossil, okay? But ever since then, I've been enthralled with video games. You know, I've been playing them ever since, had plenty of experiences, and then, you know, I've been watching other game channels on YouTube over the years have come up with like top lists of like their favorite games or select niche type lists of games, and I thought to myself, man, maybe I should do that one day. And I did, and I ended up with 30 games. And I'm like, that's a lot to talk about if I ever wanted to make a video like this someday. So I then refined it and actually ended up with 20. And that's where we're at right now. So I'm not following any script right now. I just want you to know, I'm just talking candidly, and that's my plan. It's a stupid plan, but it's a plan nonetheless. So this is going to be a car wreck, and I hope you guys will enjoy it. So the criteria I have for this list is that really the big thing is that I'm only limiting myself to picking one game per series to kind of like keep things fair, I guess. Otherwise, this list would just have a bajillion Mega Man games on it, like these ones. And we don't want that. We kind of want to branch out a little bit. We kind of have a little bit of variety. Everyone likes a little bit of variety. It's the spice of life, or so I've heard.
Hi, future Paulguy here. One thing that past Paulguy forgot to mention as a criteria for this list is that all the games in the list are games that he completed. So there are a few unfinished games that would have made the list if he actually did complete it, like these two, for example. But no, everything on this list is games that are finished. Okay, thank you.
I got the list right here. I'm not going to show you what's written on the list because, you know, I don't want you guys looking and being spoiled. If you could read my chicken scratch handwriting, that is. So I've just got my list in front of me, and I'm just going to pick it up and just kind of go for it. So this video is going to be me talking about games 20 through 11, and then I'm going to do another video that's going to talk about the top 10. And yeah, be prepared for some old man ramblings, potentially. You know, just picture me as an old man yelling at a cloud, and then we're all set. So let's get into it. But I guess before we get into the list, I will like to remind you guys, if you haven't yet, to hit the subscribe button, give this video a like, and share it with your friends, and leave a comment on your way out. It would help us out a lot. The algorithm isn't always in our favor, and yeah, a little bit of an interaction like that goes a long way. Before I continue, though, I should probably say there's a potential of spoilers, so use your discretion, I guess. And if I'm talking about a game that you haven't played yet and wanted to, just know that there's a risk that I might spoil some stuff. It kind of might help me explain why I like the game so much. So you've been warned. Don't say I didn't warn you. Son of a bitch. All right. Without further ado, let's get into it. Unicorn Overlord is a very surprisingly well done game. I remember actually seeing this game being presented at the Nintendo Direct for the first time, and I love the art style and the design. I love the real-time strategy like gameplay of it. It looked really good. And once I actually got my hands on it, I was pleasantly surprised with how it went. You take control of a lane, and your goal is to liberate the entire land, which is comprised of like 5 different kingdoms, I believe. And you're trying to put everyone under one banner in order to fight off against this super evil big bad dude. The thing I really loved about this game, and really the thing that makes me, that I'm a sucker for when it comes to these type of games, is a huge roster of characters. Like, too many characters. I love it, honestly. It's a real-time strategy game, and you have like these different party makeups from having multiple teams, and you could just kind of play around with them and experiment, because there's like multitude of different classes because of the amount of characters that you have in this game. And you start to like learn like which classes synergize better with others and what skills you should prioritize in order to just have battles become far more easier and simpler than they normally would be. And yeah, as I said before, the art direction of this actually looks really good. I love the voice acting on it is actually not bad at all. They did a pretty good job in that regard. And I do love like the overworld map. It definitely has like that old school game feel, but you know, refined. I love that you're able to go around and find like little things on the overworld map. I love that you're able to go liberate these towns on these fights, but then you're able to like repair the towns and be rewarded for your efforts. There is like sort of like a small like social aspect to it. I don't know how impactful it is ultimately. I think it does affect your character's stats, I believe. I actually didn't like dive too deep into it. I don't think it's as rich as other games that have like social systems in them. But it's there in case you want it, you know, in case you want your dudes and ladies to just, you know, have little conversations with each other. But yeah, I really liked the versatility and the complexity of the team building. And also you could make your own units as well. So if you wanted to play like an optimal style of gameplay, you could actually create multitude of units for, you know, every class if you want to have like that perfect team setup for whatever mission that you have going forward. I don't think it's completely necessary because, as I said, this game has too many characters. Yeah, as far as like RPGs go, I think it hits all the notes that you would expect it to hit. And the story is, you know, pretty straightforward. There's a few little twists and turns there. I do like that even like small little battles kind of have like their own little miniature arcs, like self-contained arcs. So like even like enemy NPCs that you end up having to fight against have like their own energy to them, their own personalities, and yeah, you can kind of get attached to what's happening in the area that you're fighting pretty quickly. They do a pretty good job of conveying information to you as the player as to why it is that you're in this spot and why you should care about freeing these people. But yeah, very good game. Highly recommend if you like real-time strategy RPGs. So there you go. Shovel Knight was a game that was on a mission, and that is to harness the power of nostalgia. And I think it does it in flying colors. Like, I remember when Markman and I were playing this game on our channel, which, by the way, you guys should check it out if you haven't. It's just a pretty fun time. I remember looking at Mark and just telling him, dude, this game feels like it's been around forever. Like, it really does feel like something pulled from the 80s. Yeah, I mean, it really does scratch that nostalgic itch. You know, that side-scrolling platformer, NES style, very Mega Man inspired, you could tell. Instead of jumping and shooting, though, you're jumping and shoveling. Can't really say I know of any other game that could precisely give you that feeling. I just think that whatever it was shooting for, it nailed it. It nailed it perfectly. I love the variety of enemies and bosses that you're going after in this game. Like the variant of like other knights that you're facing against. I love that each of their stages are so, you know, so diverse and like so like full of personality within themselves. The music definitely helps as well. Like I will unironically listen to Shovel Knight's soundtrack because it's just full of a lot of awesome bangers. It's I don't know what else to say except that they just did a fantastic job getting that NES tone with just like so much like vigor and energy pumped behind it. I love that you're able to, you know, buy your upgrades. I love the different armors that have like, each armor is not just aesthetics. There's actually purpose behind them for like getting whatever specific skill that you want to choose depending on which armor you want to buy. Buying up, learning different like shovel type skills, as opposed to getting like skills from the bosses that you beat like a traditional Mega Man game. No, you kind of have to accrue it yourself. Which, yeah, money is definitely the big factor in the game, where it's more or less your life. Is it? I just know that when you get hit, you do lose your money, and like, you know, you kind of need it to like, you know, upgrade yourself and everything. So like, it kind of adds a little stress to it, knowing that every time you do die in the game, you lose a little bit of money. You get the chance to bring it back, but depending on where those bags fly, it might be some trouble trying to get some of getting all that money you lost, you know? I also like the overworld of the game as well. The game itself feels like it's drawing in not just Mega Man inspiration, but also like, you know, Super Mario. I think it was like Super Mario 3 style, where you're able to choose your path around on like this fixed little track, but you're able to run into like mini bosses and like other little enemies that are also prowling around on the map. There's like locked areas that you have to like beat, you know, certain amount of the game to unlock and progress forward. There's also an area where you can find like areas for like upgrades and stuff, like specifically the giant ass red apple fish thing. It just kind of adds another layer to that nostalgia factor that Shovel Knight really is nailed. Yeah, you could tell that a lot of love was put into this game, and it's the effort just speaks for itself. It's a phenomenal game, and the story of the game's pretty good too. You know, I mean, it's nothing too crazy, but it's because the gameplay really takes the focus of it. But I'll just say, if you watch me and Markman's playthrough of it, you could see at the very end, Mark and I get pretty emotional about it. It's actually really good. And yeah, if you really want a side-scrolling game to really like scratch that nostalgia side-scrolling platformer itch, Shovel Knight is a fantastic choice. There's also like DLC for it too. I actually haven't like dipped my toes in it, but even without playing any of it, I could safely say that this is a very well thought out experience that I recommend to anyone that wants to take a trip down memory lane. Now, there is a genre of games that I have definitely dipped my toes into, and it's the fighting game genre. And one of the great fighting game franchises out there is the Tekken games. I've played a whole crap ton of them, and if I really had to put them all in a row in front of me and actually pick out the one that I felt like I put the most time and investment in and just enjoyed playing, it absolutely is Tekken 5. I love the roster of characters that Tekken 5 has. At that time, just the introduction of the new people. I think it was like the first appearance of Asuka, Raven, probably some other people I can't think of right now. But it's just good. Like this felt like the most solid Tekken. That's the most solid that Tekken has gotten. And I'm pretty sure the different direction of Tekken 4 might have had some kind of play with it. I mean, they definitely tried some new stuff with that one, and it just didn't feel like it landed as well. But once Tekken 5 came out, it kind of returned to form. Like, Tekken 3 is, like, a very impactful game, and I played a bunch of that, too. But if I had to pick one that I feel like had a more impact on me as far as time investment goes, Tekken 5 really just kind of sold me on it. You know, everything plays smooth, and for, you know, PS2 time, it was actually really good graphics. I love the soundtrack for it and like the environments. I mean, one of the stages you're playing in a freaking burning building. Next one you're playing in like this super serene moonlit like field. Like, you are all over the place with this game, and I freaking like that a lot. It was a lot of fun. And yeah, like the cast that you have to choose from, it just has like that good solid Tekken gamemanship. You know, not to take anything away from, you know, the other Tekken games. It's just that This is the one I spent a lot of time with. So there might actually be a little bit of rose-tinted glasses in this decision to pick Tekken 5 over all the other ones. But I don't know. I stand by it. And I do think it's one that is good, kind of holds its own still. I think it definitely, I think it's really good. I don't know how else to put, how do you talk about fighting games? I'm not like engrossed into like the fighting game culture. I couldn't tell you about frame rates and like, I don't know which combos are the best to use in what scenarios and stuff like that. If I ever actually went to a fighting game tournament where like the big boys play, I would be there for a short bit and then head back home with my tail between my legs. So I might not be the best person to really explain fighting games. I just play them, and if I enjoy them, then I like them. And I could safely say that I enjoyed Tekken 5 quite a bit. And that's why it's on my list.
Gundam Battle Assault 2.
Now, if you want to talk about fighting games that I think that people should be talking about, let us talk about Gundam Battle Assault 2. This is an awesome game. Compared to like the other fighting games around this time, especially for the PlayStation 1 era, you know, you got your Tekken 3s and you got your other ones. Compared to those ones, Gundam Battle Assault 2 might seem a bit slow, but I do think it works in the favor considering it's a Gundam game. Like, you know, even in Gundam standards, I don't think the mobile suits are moving so fast on the screen that they're just like blurs. I don't know. It's been a while since I watched a Gundam series. Maybe they move that fast now. I don't know. Markman will have to tell me about that. I think it works in the favor though because they are giant robot suits, and yeah, they would be moving a little more clunkier, wouldn't they? I mean, it's not like there's perfect fighting. Actually, no, G Gundam's in it, so maybe that's a bad argument.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Either way, I don't think the speed of the fighting game is a detriment to it. I still find the enjoyment of playing it. I kind of like that there's a little mini ammo system to it, depending on what suit you use. You kind of have like your own ammo count that you have to manage a bit, so you kind of have to choose those attacks sparingly, the ones that use it up. So each suit actually feels pretty unique, which I think adds to it a lot. And it covers a lot of the series. I mean, well, at least the basic ones. It covers like, you know, the main one, you got G Gundam as before, Gundam Wing, and you also have like some rando guys on there. I mean, they even have Ball. They got the Ball on the roster. You know, Ball. But you can also be freaking Big Zam and just step and crush on everybody. So, I mean, at least they kind of, you know, balance it out with that. So that's a plus. But I don't know. It's a pretty solid, straightforward Gundam game, and I don't know what you expect from it. If they actually made another Gundam Assault game, I would love it to be this style, though. Just a bit more refined. I think having it in the PlayStation era, where it's sort of like the polygon, not polygon, side-scrolling fighting action, I think it works very well in its favor. I don't need, you know, we had so many Gundam games that have like, you know, the whole 3D environments, you know, just to give you that immersion. But I think when you want to make a Gundam fighting game, this is the way to go. And I love it. I really do. There's no other way to put it. I have genuine fun with this game. All right, well, let's move on to the next one. This one is a little tricky for me because I do have some fond memories of Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate. Primarily, those memories are me playing this game with my friends. And I think that is the strongest thing that Monster Hunter, the series, has, is being able to hunt down these big-ass monsters with your buddies. And that, if you haven't played Monster Hunter, let me just try and break it down. You're basically this hunter who is running around chasing after these large mini kaiju monsters, which eventually become kaiju size later on. You kind of go at it with what you got, you know? But the cool thing about Monster Hunter is that whatever armor and weapons you use in the game, it all is determined on what you hunt and how often you hunt it. I mean, you have to create every piece of your armor off of the monster parts. And if you're after a specific armor set, you're going to be hunting the same monster over and over and over again. Which I know is the big appeal of the game, is just that repetition of it. But if I'm going to be honest, I think it's only fun when you have friends with you playing because of the repetition. I mean, yeah, the game is good on its own, and it could be a decent, single player experience, but man alive, it gets so repetitive so quickly that having the energy of your friends, especially if they're in the same room as you, it really makes it more palpable. And honestly, sharing that victory experience with your buddies is really what makes this game work so well, in my opinion. I do love the crafting of it, don't get me wrong. I do love figuring out what you need and figuring out how to get the specific parts. Sometimes you have to go through great lengths and multiple fights just to get one single component to get that armor piece that you need to get that complete set and get all those awesome bonuses. It's a journey within itself just with that alone. That's not even like factoring in any story mode that this game has, which there is a story in 3 Ultimate. I wouldn't say it's the strongest story, but, it kind of like lays out the land a bit, kind of lays out the monsters that you'd be chasing. It's pretty straightforward stuff. The multiplayer is really where the strength is. And just the big memories I have of playing this game with my buddies, all in the same room, is really what puts this game on the map for me as one of my favorites. It's kind of hard for me to actually get into other Monster Hunter games because of that, honestly. Yeah, we could do matches online, but to me, it's just not the same. It doesn't really feel like I'm sharing that experience with my friends when, we're just across the way on bandwidth. I would much rather be next to my friends with our handhelds and just having a ball all in the same room and sharing that experience literally. Having that really just elevates this game to me. And yeah, I just have fond memories of those times. And yeah, it's a little bit nostalgic for me, and that might be a big factor why this game's made it to the list, but get used to that. It's my list. I'm going to let that be a factor, okay? The times I had with my friends with this game are just very precious, and that's why it's on the list where it is. There's probably more to the game I'm not saying. I mean, you could fight monsters underwater. That was everyone's favorite, right? Right? I remember when I first played XCOM Enemy Within. It was a blast. I enjoyed every second of it. And then, over time, XCOM 2 came out. And that was it for me. XCOM 2 is a strategy game where you're taking control of a whole army of individuals trying to fight back against an extraterrestrial menace. The aliens that you're facing off against are super diverse and have their own unique challenges. You have aliens that try to take over your brains and control your movements or whatever. You also have these super strong brute dudes that just wreck shit on the battlefield, which, yeah, you're on a battlefield that is completely destructible and hazardous in its own way, but you kind of have to figure out your positioning of your guys, whether you got to find good cover for them so that way, alien attacks won't be able to hit your dudes, but you also got to be mindful of their positioning as well, because they follow the same rules as your guys are. So it's this huge like a very elaborate game of chess, where you're trying to take advantage of the environment while getting close enough for your attacks to land against these the enemies. There's a base building aspect to it, and depending on which enemies you kill in the game, you could then research them in order to unlock different things, different rooms in the base. You could unlock different weapons and different accessories, different items for your disposal. I do feel like the story of 2 feels a bit more fleshed out compared to 1 in a way. Plus it kind of looks nicer, which definitely helps. And then even then they just added in a whole bunch of cool stuff with the DLC and big super strong enemies that are just super threatening. the tension's always there in the game. And especially with this game, because it has permadeath in it. Like, you are able to make your own squadron however you want, you know, name them, change their looks, their loadouts, what color their suit is. You can easily get attached to these soldiers if you let yourself. And it just makes it all the more crushing when you miss an attack which you should have hit, but then the enemies swarm your guy because you stuck your neck out a little too much, and then they're dead. And they're dead. Like, there's no coming back. Like, I'm sure there's some people out there who really know what they're doing and would, you know, completely smoke this game and not give it a second thought. I'm not one of those people. I was on pins and needles the whole time. And I feel like this is there's very few games that actually give me that sense of dread. You know, when I'm just carrying out the mission, you know. I got to collect an item, but oh my God, there's a super strong boss dude over there. I didn't know. I better be careful or my guys will die. Yeah, it's really, really hard to recreate that in a lot of games. So I do think XCOM 2 kind of has that in spades. I found it very addictive to just keep pressing forward and see what thing I could build next, see what thing I could research next. It's really, really, really fun. I highly recommend it to anyone who wants to use their brains, and also shoot up extraterrestrial aliens that are trying to destroy everything. It's getting a little hot. I'm going to take off my hoodie real quick. Yeah, you like that shirt? Kind of sums it all up, doesn't it? I remember a video that Space Hamster put out talking about Seiken Densetsu 3. More or less the sequel to Secret of Mana. And I played Secret of Mana before, and I remember thinking to myself, it's pretty good. But once I saw Space Hamster talking about this game, expressing the differences between this one and the last one, let's just say that my attention was grabbed. So imagine my delight when I actually learned that it was actually getting a remake just like the Secret of Mana did. And I figured, well, if there's ever a chance for me to play it, this might be the best way to play it. And let me tell you something. I liked it quite a bit. The one thing I really like about Trials of Mana is the fact that you are able to build your team from the get. You get the option of choosing 3 out of 6 characters right from the beginning, as they will be your team for the entire game. You pick your main character first, with the second and third just kind of following at the different intervals. A lot of the characters share similar enemies to each other, but depending on which ones you choose for your party actually determine who your final bosses are, and also determines how prevalent those enemies play within the overall arc of the story. But I really do like that you're able to change your team up right from the get and just have this different variety every time you play it. You know, it's really, really cool. And I also love that you're able to have multiple classes that you get to choose from in this game as you level up. I believe there's like 2 or 3 different like class changes that you could do in the game. I think one of them is a brand new to the remake itself, so you actually have an additional character growth than you normally would from the classic game. But even then, like, it just creates that much more customization and that much more versatility to your party makeup when you're able to try different routes of different job classes for each of your characters for each playthrough. And I think that's really cool. The story itself is, you know, it's good. It's a very serviceable story. I do like that there is unique dialogue depending on which characters you choose, and how certain NPCs in the story react different depending on what your party makeup is. It really shapes the story along. I like that a lot, that you kind of have that ability. Yeah, it's a very, very pleasant RPG experience. You know, very easy to get into with, again, enough complexity that every playthrough will be different. Depending on which characters you want to try out, you know, and whoever takes the lead as your lead character, you know, it's just really neat to kind of see how the story changes by those variable degrees depending on your party makeup. Like that part alone, I think, is actually merit enough to give the game a shot, in my opinion. So yeah, Trials of Mana, really, really good game. If you do end up playing the game though, I do highly, highly, highly recommend you play it in Japanese, because the English dub...
Pardon me, but it sounds as if someone is digging over here, behind this wall. Is it an escapee?
Fortunes? Why would I trust my fate to something like that? All I believe in is strength. But I'll listen to what you have to say if you tell me how to become more powerful.
Hey! What is wrong with you? Could you give a girl some peace and quiet? Back off!
Yeah, it's not good.
Welcome to the Detroit Experience.
Now, I ended up playing a couple games from Quantic Dream, such as Beyond Two Souls and Indigo Prophecy. They weren't bad. I beat them both, but you know, they're pretty good games, I suppose, for what they were, being these, you know, more or less movies that you kind of get a choice of what happens in the game. But it wasn't until Detroit Become Human that I actually saw something that I really, really wanted to try. A game that promised to have not only a bunch of choices, but choices that really impact the direction of the story and the characters in the story. And yeah, I can safely say that Detroit Become Human, it does exactly that. You get to control 3 different characters in the game: Kara, Marcus, and Connor. Each of them having their own little story arcs that they go on, but yet at different intervals they do kind of cross paths with each other. The amount of choices that you can make in this game is kind of baffling in a way, and there have been plenty of times where your choice in one chapter greatly affects what happens in the next chapter. And you know, sometimes your choices can get one of these characters killed. But the cool thing about the game is that it's built around a lot of these choices to the point where if a character is killed off, the game continues on seamlessly and doesn't really, like, you can't even like see the parts in the game where the character's arc and involvement should be, because the game just picks up, you know, naturally because of those choices. And I found that to be really cool. Like, you can get Kara killed pretty quickly in the game. I actually tried doing that once before to see what would happen. And yeah, you play the rest of the game with Marcus and Connor as the focus, and the game felt just fine. Like, nothing really felt terribly lacking with Kara gone. You know, at some point in another playthrough, you can have Marcus die halfway through, and it just picks up with what was it, North, I think it was her name. Yeah, North essentially becomes the robots, the android's leader, and the game just kind of progresses with her assuming that role. It's not as involved because you don't really make choices for her, but it still feels pretty natural. Yeah, the motion capture for the game is actually pretty well for its time, and there's a lot of emotion that goes into this game as well. Like, the game is telling a story. Like, it's a very real story that I feel like a lot of people can, like, you know, cling on to and actually find, you know, believable because of how grounded it actually is. You could play through this game multiple times and end up having these 3 characters be in completely different positions than they normally would have. Like, there's one playthrough that you could play as Connor, kind of waking up to his, you know, the deviant side inside of him. He joins up with Marcus in them. Or you could play through the game where he basically just keeps himself as like the Terminator, and yeah, he could just be that devoted to his mission the entire playthrough. You can have Kara be like the loving mother figure or be a bit more of a survivalist. Marcus could actually be more malevolent or benevolent depending on the decisions that you make for him. There's variables in this game that is like, it's really cool, I think, that you could play through this interactive story, have the characters make vast different life-changing decisions in the game, and the game just is so built around them that nothing feels out of place. You know, and I think that speaks volumes to the amount of detail that they put into Detroit Become Human. Honestly, I'm kind of excited to see what project they would bring out next. I know they're going to at some point. So yeah, just hopefully if it's anything like Detroit Become Human, I'm excited for it, because I do think Detroit Become Human is just that good of an interactive story game. You will find very few games out there that are as artfully wonderful as Shadow of the Colossus. It's one of those adventure style games where everything feels empty, but it works out in its favor. I mean, you're not facing off against any enemies in this game, except for these larger than life giant beasts of varying sizes, I should say. It's more or less a boss rush, the game. That's what you're playing with Shadow of the Colossus, but I think it works very well. I mean, you are in this forbidden land as this guy Wander, and your whole goal is to bring down these colossi. Your job is to bring down these colossi, to take their essence, more or less, into your body and appease this big god dude named Dorman and revive your dead maybe girlfriend. Maybe not girlfriend. I don't know. The game doesn't tell you what she is. She's just there. Dead. Very, very dead. But the point is, you're trying to bring her back from the dead, and your whole mission is to take down these guys and bring her back. It's pretty straightforward, but it's done on such a big dynamic scale that you can't help but be in wonder and awe about it all. And fighting up against each of these colossi is very epic. There's no other way to put it. Each boss has its own conditions to beat them, with their own different environments and biomes that you face off, that you fight them against them in. And each encounter is stressful in its own way for their own separate reasons. You could be going up against this super tall dude that you got to figure out how to break the armor off of his sword, so that way you could finally climb up and start stabbing him. You fight off against this one Colossus. I'm not even sure what he is. He looks like some kind of horned panther thing, but you have to scare him with fire so he could drop off and land on his back and make sure that his weak point is now vulnerable. Then you also have this older looking guy with a big beard that you have to goad him into looking down at you, and you jump up on his beard, which looks very painful. But, it's what you have to do. You have to watch each Colossus and learn their patterns, so that way you can figure out what's the best course of action to, tackle them and, fight them with. And it's just really cool and exciting. The tension that you have with the nothingness in this vast empty plain, I think works in the favor of the game, because, yeah, the entire time you're trying to find the Colossus, you're thinking to yourself the possibilities of what that Colossus could be. The simplicity of the battle system itself is also works well in its favor. You get one sword, you get one bow, and you got your hands that you use to grab on for dear life. And that's all you really need, and your horse aggro. Can't forget about aggro. But yeah, it's quite a journey, and the mystique of it all, it's definitely a very artsy looking game. Definitely stylized. I do think it's a very unique experience, and even with the remake, there is a bit of jank to the game, but it's not so detrimental that you can't enjoy the game, in my opinion. And I definitely enjoyed it to this day. One of those games that when you just want to replay it again, I just get brought back to the awe and wonder of these gigantic creatures that you're up against. And let's just say that the ending of the game is pretty surprising. There's definitely some twists and turns. I'm not going to spoil everything, but you'll see. Just give it a try and you'll see. And we come to the final game of this video. Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door. In my opinion, and I'm going to put this out there, and if you agree with me, great. And if you don't, okay. Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door is the best Mario RPG. Period. If nothing else, it's at least the best Paper Mario, in my opinion. And I like to think that there are some people out there who agree, but I guess I can't tell you what to think. This is my list, remember? It's my opinion. Only mine matter. I love the world of the Thousand Year Door. Like, just everything has its own energy to it. The bright colors, the atmosphere, the characters, the NPCs, the loads of different NPCs that you see floating around. You know, when you have like, you know, Koopas and Bob-ombs and like Goombas, they're all just like there, just living their lives. Like, I love the world of the Thousand Year Door. It's so well done. And I know that Paper Mario 64 is kind of like similar. They are drawn from like, I think it's like it's all the same universe. Thousand Year Door is the one that caught my attention, you know, the most. I love the partner characters that you get in this game. You know, Goombella is awesome. Koops is a bro. You got your little Yoshi friend that you could like hatch from an egg and name. Vivian is awesome. They're all like cool and bring something to the table, you know, with their own unique like personalities. I do think it works in the game's favor for Mario to kind of be there, but yet everyone else kind of carrying the game, and they do carry it very well. You know, the battle system it's straightforward and easy to learn, but the badge system, allowing yourself to customize the amount your skills that you could use, which there are a ton of badges, by the way. Like, there is a whole huge plethora of different skills that you can make Mario and your friends learn. And yeah, the world exploration and picking up little items here and there, like, it's all fun. And figuring out like the different powers that Mario obtains, like paper powers, like being rolled up as a newspaper roll or turning into like a paper airplane, finding all these areas that you wouldn't have normally been able to explore before, but then coming back later and getting all like these bonuses. It's really, really good. It's a very solid, well put together RPG that has the Mario aesthetic to it. You also get like, you know, new types of characters that you don't really see from any other games, like the Punies, for example. Like, look at these little guys. What even are you trying to be? What are you? But yeah, it's a very solid Mario RPG at the end of the day, and I can't recommend it enough to anyone that really likes Mario but kind of wants to scratch that RPG itch, you know? Very, very, very solid work. And yeah, the story is actually pretty good too. You do have these moments where you play as Princess Peach, which I think you did have in most of the other Paper Mario games, but I kind of liked the dynamic that Peach had with the computer. Whatever his name is, I kind of eludes me right now. Hold on one second. Tak! That's his name. Tak. Yeah, the whole dynamic that Peach and Tak have with each other is actually kind of endearing, you know? And it really speaks a lot to the character work that they put into this game. Mario's all over the place, you know, he ends up becoming like this fighter in like a tournament style, like, you know, wrestling-esque fighting ring. You know, at one point he's on a train solving essentially a murder mystery. And yeah, like the places where Mario ends up being is just so diverse, and it's definitely quite an adventure to go on. And I do think still, unless proven otherwise, that Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door is by far the best Mario RPG. And definitely earns a spot on my top list. Alright, that about does it for this video. 20 through 11, that's the first half of my top 20. So next video will be the top 10, which is in my opinion, my most favorite games of all. And I really hope that you guys are excited for that. If you guys enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing if you haven't. Give the video a like, share with your friends, and leave a comment down below. What do you think about some of my choices? Let me know your opinions on this. Let me know if you think, you know, my choices were okay or if they're aligned with yours, you know? And if not, then sorry, I guess. I don't know what else to tell you. But anyways, I'm going to get out of here, and hopefully I'll get that second video up to you when I can. I'm pretty sure this is going to be a lot of work, right, Future Paul? Yeah, you like it, right? Love you too, buddy. All right, so I'm going to get out of here, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and until next time, I will see you. Bye!